guys, welcome back to Journey Teachers. So we have Megha Bhatia with us today, and she is the founder of Israni Photography and Films, and also the author of the book The Jitters Behind the Glitters. So we'll be talking about her writing journey and photography industry as well. So how are you, Megha?
Very well, very excited to do this today.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we're excitedly looking forward to hear from you.
Excited too.
So let's start with a brief introduction about you, just a little about yourself.
So about myself, I've been in the field of capturing weddings for over 10 years. I started with Israni photography and films. I have been a child artist myself. I started my acting journey when I was 3 years old. I've done over 125 ads. I've done a movie called Dil To Pagal Hai. I have done several television shows with Balaji. So as I got out of college, I started acting myself. I was 3 years doing acting with Balaji Films. I've done 2 of their major shows called Bandhani and Pyar Ka Bandhan on Sony. And then finally I fell in love with doing weddings. And here I am, 10 years down the lane, running a brand which is very close to my heart. It's my first baby. And it's been a great journey, and now I'm an author, and that's been even a more exciting journey to give back to the society. Like, we've always taken from the society. This was my way of giving back to the society.
That has been a beautiful journey indeed,
Yeah.
And it is really evident with the broad smile you are having on your face.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's start with the very first question. So why and how did the idea of writing a book actually came? And did it just happen, or there was a secret author inside you from the very beginning?
I think I discovered there was an author in me when I lost my grandmom, and I wrote a very nice poem for her. And I think that's the time my family realized, and I realized that I could write. I remember I had written a long one-page poem or a write-up or an essay about what she did and what she contributed in our life. I've always been an elaborate writer in terms of expressing my feelings. I've always been someone who write out messages to people which are very long and very lovey-dovey stuff. I've always written. So I think I'm not a polished writer, and you'll also see that in my book. I'm not a finished writer. Maybe my English is not the best. I'm not a good vocabulary person, but but I express well. Like, I write well. I write from the heart, and I think basic languaging comes to me very naturally. Yeah. So I think the idea of writing the book, was like, and it's something that my father forced me into it. Like, he used to keep telling me, write, journal your book down, journal your, incidents down, your experiences down. So I think that's how I took it seriously.
That has been really beautiful, because being an author is really a privilege, and you are able to pen down your thoughts.
Yeah.
That's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, so why and how did the idea of writing actually came? Like, why did you feel like sharing your experiences with the world?
I think the world is changing. The change is the only constant thing, and I've seen weddings evolve. From 10 years to now, what it is. I've seen marriages come together. I've seen marriages split. I have seen big families come together for a bigger merger. I have seen divorces happening. I have seen rains spoiling someone's dream wedding. So I think with my experiences of seeing so much in the wedding industry and seeing how it has evolved with time, how the big fat Indian weddings happen, the behind the scene, the madness about it, I think to me it was about encapsulating and sharing those real stories with the world. And I should come back and tell my family कि आज मैंने ये देखा है. When you go for a wedding as a guest, your experience is very, very different. But when you go at a wedding as a vendor or someone who's working behind, making that wedding come alive, your experience is very different. And no one till today talks about what goes behind the scenes of the wedding. You will see a lot of blogs in today's time on Instagram which show you the perfect wedding pictures, which show you the perfect wedding lehenga. But no one tells you of how that perfect wedding has actually come together. So I think it was about enlightening brides, enlightening families, giving them that little knowledge that, stop taking dowry, girls are not doormats anymore. families need to be treated with equal love and respect. It's not about giving away a girl, it's always about embracing a new daughter in your house. I think these were ideologies which I grew to. I have grown to watching films like Hum Saath Saath Hai, Hum Aapke Hai Kaun, weddings like to me Rajshri and Karan Johar are my biggest inspirations because I've seen their movies and I love what they show. And I think to me marriage, to me was what Hum Saath Saath Hai showed. The whole family coming together. So I come from that value system where marriages are forever. So my value system is very different.
That is really nice, and you want to share your personal experiences with the world and the people to actually learn from it. And you are kind of bursting some myths as well around what is behind the scenes of a glittery wedding, as I would say. So the next question is, what are the steps involved in writing and building a book from writing to publishing?
So writing to me was way more easy than publishing the book was even more tougher. I think writing the book initially was just about putting your thoughts down, and trust me, I've taken about a year to write my book down. I started in COVID times with a lot of excitement, with a lot of, when you're new into it, like it's like a relation, right? When you're new into it, you're giving it all that you have. And then in the due course, while I was writing, I obviously fell in love, and I was diverted by my husband Yash. So for a good 6 months, I didn't write. So I wrote in COVID times. When COVID hit, I started writing in May and April. I wrote about 3 to 4 chapters at that point in time. Thoughts flowed because I was free, my mind was empty. So I think when you write, the step one would be that have a clear slate. Write your why in terms of why you want to write the book. Write your chapter names or write a storyboard, like write a synopsis of your book, that why you want to do the book, and then just go with the flow. Like there were days when I used to think I'll write something today, but trust me, for 6 months I didn't feel like writing because it's a very instinctive thing. No one can train you, no one can tell you what to write. It's your own thought and your own energy which needs to flow, because there were times, and I'm not a laptop writer, I'm a handwrite writer. So for me, a lot of people say, oh, you yet write on paper and pen. So I'm a pen and paper writer. I was never a laptop person. Like though in flights I used to write in the laptop. So I think my maximum book was written in flights. Like I think my best writing has come out in flights when my phones used to not disturb me and my phones were switched off, so my mind was completely focused. I think it's a good environment and it's an empty mind where you're not distracted by too many things, and the publishing process can be forever.
Right. So surprisingly, I also resonate with you because I also write on sheets of paper with a pen, and the power of pen is really
yeah. So even my first advice to people would be that write on paper. Then when you've written, then you want to make it better, is when I take the laptop, and that too, a lot of people write on Word and on Google Docs. I was yet a notepad person because I used to keep revising it and keep altering it. So I think my notepad was my best tool. But I wrote my basic thoughts came on paper, and then obviously to emphasize and then elongate that thought went onto the laptop. And I think writing was easy, reading was very tough. And I had to read my own thing. At times I used to get bored, so I used to delete everything that I've written. So don't read your book too much, because then you'll just be very critical about it.
Right. Again and again, many times you will find faults into what you have written on your own, and try to avoid distractions, as she said.
Right.
Okay. So what are the elements you considered while writing and combining all of these stories which we can see?
I think I wanted my book to be touching different topics. I didn't want my book to be monotonous. I wanted my book to talk about emotions. I wanted to talk about heartbreaks. I wanted to talk about successful marriages. I wanted to talk about dowry taken and given. So I think when you're deciding on 2 chapters, you should see what your audience is going to resonate with maximum. There has to be a very high relatability in it. So just make sure that it's high relatability. Make sure that it is it's very today. You're not writing a story which is 6 years old or 7 years old. So you want to be very relevant as per today's trends and what you see today. Yeah.
That is really true. You have to take care of your readers in mind as well
Right.
while writing.
Right. So also know when you're writing a book, you should always know that who are you writing it to and why are you writing it. What's the message? What's the tone? Do you want it to be a light read? Do you want it to be a happy read? Do you want it to be a long read? I think you should know what you want as an end achievement of the book. Like I knew from my book, my end achievement is that even if I can save one marriage, I've done my job. Like for me, I was doing it to save marriages at the rate at which they are breaking in today's time. So even if I've been able to contribute to that, I think I'm very happy.
Your purpose is clearly very strong and targeting the right audience.
Right, right.
Okay, so how did you find the field right publishers, what one may call on-point title and just the perfect blend of opportunities to actually launch your debut book?
So I'll tell you, my book title took me quite some time. I started with the book title to be The Wedding Secrets. I came up with a title called The Jitters and the Glitters. So I think my title kept evolving. I had my business coach and a very close friend, Karan Hasija, who helped me make me think. He said the title name has to be, it has to leave a question mark or it got to leave a shock statement, or it got to be something that makes people intrigued to buy a book. When they see it on the shelf, they should be like, oh, what is this? So the title name should be a little confusing, a little question mark. So he kept driving me with that thought process. He's an author himself. So he kept telling me that, I like the word jitters, but think more, go behind it. And I think one fine day I messaged him, jitters behind the glitters, and he was like, just add the. And I was like, okay, and I added that, and that's how my book title came over. Initially, I wrote a lot of emails to a lot of book publications when my synopsis was done, because people started to advise you that you should start sending it out, and then some people said. So a lot of people asked me for my manuscript, but my manuscript was never ready as such, right? Because I sent it out at the synopsis stages. So I think at that point in time. Writing emails was one of my core things to publications, sending them my synopsis. Then I didn't want to send my manuscript. I was a little apprehensive. What if my manuscript is taken and given away? So I said, let's have a phone call or let's do a Zoom meeting to understand who am I talking to and whom am I giving it to. So I think that was my route of, and I clicked with the Right Order team instantly. My dad was the one who found out the Right Order team. He came to Bangalore. He did a meeting with them. And he said that they are authentic, they have an office. The other publications, some of them we were talking to didn't have offices. Some publications just don't respond to you. So yeah, that's how I came across.
So it has taken a lot of research and efforts, what I'm understanding, to actually find the publisher, because it is very important for you to resonate with the ones who are publishing your book, because it is the role of the publisher who can make a digital copy into a hard copy, right? So it has to be very
right. But when I went to my publication, I already had my book cover designed. So a lot of publications designing a book cover. I was very clear that I will not change my book cover for anything, because I designed my book cover in 2020. Even before I started to write, my book cover was decided. So that's how I put it out. I think in 2020, in September, I just put it out on Instagram saying I've just started to write a book and that's my book cover. And I think that pressure that it gave me, that मैंने एक बार commit कर लिया है, now I got to get my book cover, like I got to get my book out. So I think that was one good strategy that I already announced it to the world. So for 2 years there was pressure on me ki release your book because you've announced to the world. So I think that really worked in my favor, that I got my book cover designed first and the book cover was made in 2020.
You hold yourself accountable to
because it's a book, because I think half of India writes books but they don't publish their books because there's no pressure. So I think I put that self-pressure on myself, saying that 10,000 people are watching you, so you better get your book out. And I think that was my motivation all throughout, that I had committed to people, so I better get it out.
And it's always so safe to keep your work to yourself rather than just publishing it and make it available to the people.
Right. It's a very overwhelming feeling. I like the response that the book has been getting. I've had messages coming across on my DM saying that we read the book, and every time I get a sweet DM, I always take a screenshot, and I think that's my treasure. That's my That's my treasure. That's my what do you call? It is everything to me. Yeah, it's my award for the book.
Right. Okay. So, what are the marketing strategies you made sure to implement for the book? How did you make it available to a large number of people?
I think my marketing strategy was just to go out and do book launches and book reading sessions. First of all, ask your friends to go buy it for you. When they say they're your friends, make sure that you ensure that your book is available on Amazon or on Kindle or at bookstores. So I think my book is yet not on bookstores, but I'm working towards it. It's a work in progress. And book is a product. Like I learned this from someone. A book is not like a movie that comes out on a Friday morning and you get a result on Saturday morning saying this is a hit or a flop. A book takes its due course of time to settle with people, for people to read it, and for people to actually give a verdict about your book. And it's a property which will be there with you even once you die. So you can be rest assured that I'm sure my grandkids will kind of read this book. So it's forever. It's a tangible product, and there's no reward for this which is going to happen instantly. If you're expecting that overnight your life will change, nothing's going to change with a book overnight. But you have to be at it every day. You've got to do something for your book which helps in marketing. Talk about the book.
Right. Just be comfortable telling what you have written to the world, and just talk about your book, spread a word about it in any of the
In any
known
way.
people.
Right. Right.
Okay. So, what was your experience with conducting book launches in various cities as you described? Give us some insights into it.
It was high pressure, high stressful, but it was very satisfying. But book launches requires a lot of hard work in terms of inviting people, booking your venues, having your decor, lighting, sound, getting someone to launch your book, having a chief guest, making sure the chief guest has read the book. So I think all of these things are extremely important before you, and while you're launching your book, you've got to have these things very, very, you have to have a PR team in place so that they could talk about it the next morning in newspapers, medias. So I think it's a mix of two, three things happening together. But book launches are very important because you're physically getting to touch and feel, and you're physically getting to meet people, which is very important. In today's day, after COVID, I think you have an outburst to meet people.
Right, definitely, and it is a short way to actually make it, available to a lot of people,
Right.
and you get a lot of publicity as well.
And make sure on your book launches you tell people to buy your book and don't give it out for free. I have done that mistake, and then I was told by someone that why would you do that? These are your friends and family, and you've got to tell them to buy your book. So always make sure that people who come for your book launches, and I think it's also to all the audience out there, when you go for a book launch, that's the only way you can support a writer and encourage them to write more. Because it's a dying industry where it comes to making money. A lot of people don't get into writing books because they say there's no money in it. So, and it's people like us, like today, I value to buy a book rather than receive it for free.
Right. An author guy would understand what is it to buy.
Yeah.
You tell him her to,
Yeah, like
get
now
it.
I would never, like now I would go on to the airport, and every time I buy a book, I know what it feels to know that 250, 350 rupees. I feel like, oh, we go out for coffees and we spend 300 bucks and we don't think about it. But when you buy a book, you think so much about it.
Right, definitely. So, how were you able to market it with the help of celebrities and other influencers, considering it's your very first one? Like, how far did the connections from the photography industry have helped you here?
I think it's been very lucrative. I think the biggest cheerleaders for me were my brides and grooms. I've done the wedding of Rahul Vaidya, who was there for both my book launches in Bangalore and in Bombay. I've had Neeti Mohan, a very big celebrity singer, launch my book in Bombay because she's a bride of Israni photography. I had Disha Parmar, advocate my book on her social media. I had people like, all my brides and grooms have come together to support me on this. So whether they were celebrity, I had Himesh Reshamya putting a post out for me because he's been a groom of Israni photography. So I think it was very kind of all my brides and grooms to kind of help me, support me, and do it out of love. And I think the fact that as a photographer I've been in their homes for so many years now, I think this is something that they give me back. as a very kind gesture from their end, and I'm very grateful to everybody who's gone out there. Sonakshi Raj, a bride of mine who's a designer, she went out there and she posted on a page that go grab the copy. So I think that makes a huge difference because you're penetrating into a very different audience through their networks.
Right, definitely. You have been able to, gather opportunities from them as well, and who have literally helped you to promote your work.
Right.
That's really wonderful. Okay, so how does it feel to get your book out there and giving out signed copies? How satisfactory is it?
I think it's very satisfactory. I think the first signed copy that I gave to was to one of my industry person that I've always looked up to called Vandana Mohan. I signed my first book to her and I was like extremely grateful. I had a tear in my eye seeing that God, I've always wanted to meet her, I've always wanted to see her, I've always wanted to work with her, and she's the one who's taking my first signed copy. So I was very happy. And someone advised me that write the number that you're signing so that you know it's 1, 2, 3, 4. But obviously, I've lost count of the number of signed copies that I've given. But it's a very gratifying moment. It's something which is very close to my heart. Even now, when people say that they want a signed copy, there's a little excitement, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah. They want that customized touch
Right.
from an author.
Right, and I know literature by itself is going to stay alive for the rest of our lives. Like that's never going to die out.
Agreed, totally. So, in spite of having all the resources, why don't you go for self-publishing this time?
It was nice to have. It was nice to have a stamp of of a renowned company with their expertise that they come with. And I love the way my publication house took interest in refining my book, making it better. They wanted to add a little bit more masala. They said Megha masala come here. So I think the knowledge that they come with, I come with my reader knowledge. They come with a master. They come with masses, and they know what masses want. So I think I like the involvement that a third party gives to a perspective to yours, which you yourself cannot think for. So that's the reason why I feel going with a authorized and a notified and a brand works better in your favor because they come with a little guidance and they come with taking responsibilities and they come with sharing the losses and the profits of the book.
Right, that's completely true. What a publisher can add to your book, it is completely out of your hands because they come with a more experience for sure.
Right.
Okay, so what would be your suggestions or advice for the people to continue writing for the aspiring writers, even if they face writer's block or the creative block?
Just keep writing, don't stop. Don't see what the end result is going to be like. Just keep writing and write for yourself. Write for the message that you want to give out and always know your audience who you are writing for. Always know what you want to convey and as long as you have clarity, nothing can stop you.
That's completely true. Be clear with your purpose and you will definitely make a way to people's hearts.
Perfect.
Okay, so for independent authors, what would be your stance for them to grow without an investment in marketing or as they'll be doing everything on their own?
I think just go out, hustle every day, go to places, tell them to keep your book. Today I was at Araku Cafe and I spoke to the manager myself that I want to keep my book here. And they said, oh, you'll have to write an email. So I think take that effort, go out there, knock at people's doors, write out to people, and your book will reach. So just take the effort, just make sure that you're working on it every day. Make sure that you're able to send out your book to maximum number of people because that's where the message spreads.
Definitely. So that's really true that you have to hustle every day. You have to make your own efforts for the book to spread out to a lot of people. So thank you so much, Megha, for joining us.
Thank you.
It was really insightful.
Thank you so much and looking forward to seeing more of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi
guys, so I'm really proud about Preeti doing a book at the age of 19. Yes, she's just 19 years old, and I'm sure she must have started her writing journey at a very tender age. So she's written this amazing book. Please go check it out on Amazon. Please buy the book, get a copy, support young authors. I think anybody who's going to read this book is going to get really inspired. These are some fictional stories, and I can't wait for the part 2 to be out very soon.